Welcome to Mana's Seal YouTube channel. The previous video link is on the description box or on the top right card. Volume 16, The Half-Elf Godkin. Zessie made her usual smile, the one she used to hide her heart. It's not that she was happy or that she found something interesting. Actually, her state of mind was the total opposite. It's her despair at having fallen into the trap, into the perfect scheme their enemies had laid out. What should I do? Try to let the soldiers escape? Or escape myself so that I could live? The death of the theocracy's strongest trump card would be a tremendous loss for the nation, so escaping should be the better choice. With her attention diverted to think about the next best move, Zessie stood still, which then made the girl talk. Hey, excuse me. I am repeating myself, but won't you surrender? I think it's not too late yet. I don't want to kill you. It's not a bad idea considering that she might get information on the opponent. But I can't run away. Eh? The girl raised a puzzled voice. Understandable. Zessie's response didn't match her question from the girl's point of view, but it was logically connected. Inside Zessie's mind. That's right. There was nothing else to be done. If this really was the Sorcerer Kingdom's scheme, there's only one way to break through it. Fight with the ferociousness of a wounded and cornered animal, kill the girl before her, and destroy the Sorcerer Kingdom's plan along with that. The loss of an individual this strong would greatly derail the Sorcerer Kingdom's plan. Perhaps a most wicked trap was lying in wait for them, but this was their only chance to foil it, and she was the only one able to do it right now. Yes, I am the only one who can save my country. If asked whether the theocracy did enough for her to make her better life on them, she would feel complicated emotions. But, from time to time, there were some humans she liked. She saw most of them pass away over her long life, but she thought that they mattered enough for her to wager her life once for the sake of the country they loved. I will probably die, but I will use all my might to kill her. That's good enough for me. Zessie made her decision. She really did think about retreating for a moment, but if she had to do that, she would like to do it at her own pace, rather than escaping narrowly by the skins of her teeth. There was a certain part of her in this battle until now, which hadn't been serious about killing her opponent. It was not due to any sentimentality on her part regarding the girl possibly being her niece. Even if the opponent was a mere child, she would cut her limbs and bind her or kill her without hesitation if need be. But she certainly prioritized leaving with her life the most, until now. She would throw it away. If she didn't gamble here, then where else could she? Tomorrow would surely be worse than today. Go. She bellowed. Einherjar attacked, following her command. Frankly, she need not have shouted it out loud. She could give the order, silently in her mind. In a sense, this was a poor decision that gave away information to the opponent. Zessie understood that as well. She shouted, despite that, to stir herself up and to strengthen her conviction even more. She made the Einherjar deal with the elemental while she tried to go after the girl herself. However, the elemental extended its hands out to the sides like it was trying to block the corridor. Zessie didn't mind if this was how it was going to be. She and Einherjar would take the elemental in a rush, and then kill the girl after. If the elemental before them was the one used by the Elf King, destroying it would be destroying one of the symbols of royalty as well. Perhaps that would slow down the Sorcerer King's plan by a bit. The two great scythes slashed the elemental multiple times in an instant. Frankly speaking, elementals, which didn't bleed and didn't really have any vital points, were troublesome opponents for her. On top of that, high-class elementals had resistances against physical attacks. Even Zessie's scythe couldn't take them down in a single hit. This was not the kind of opponent Zessie would choose given a choice, but she didn't have a say in this matter. Still, the girl's attack couldn't reach them either with the elemental obstructing the corridor, and it would be hard to get a clear line of sight to attack with magic from the scrolls. The thing they should be more cautious of was the girl being able to cast her strengthening spells on the elemental. I am the one at an advantage here because there are two of us, but it's not an absolute advantage. We can't go behind the elemental, so we can't stop her from casting buffs, but she wondered if the girl truly didn't realize this. Something bothered Zessie slightly, but she couldn't express it in concrete terms. The elemental brought down its arms, which were made of boulders. She was about to jump back, but this wasn't a situation where she could slowly grind it down with hit and run attacks. She used the great scythe to hook the arm and deflect it. The Earth Elemental's attack had tremendous force behind it, but deflecting it by applying force from the side was easy. That said, this wasn't a weapon suitable for that, and she was only able to do it through brute force because of the overwhelming difference in their strength. She could see Einherjar doing the same from the corner of her eyes. Zessie's Einherjar was weaker than herself. So, seeing that it was even possible for it, Zessie confirmed that this elemental wasn't strong, just like she had expected. This was probably not the one used by the Elf King, the elemental the theocracy was most worried about. That said, it didn't mean that the earth elemental before them was exactly weak either. Someone only on the level of heroes wouldn't be able to avoid its punches. It was hard to be sure if the hit would kill them or not, but it would certainly damage them heavily. She dodged another attack and turned her gaze to the girl hiding behind the elemental. They were right in the bosom of the huge enemy, so it was dangerous to take her eyes off it, but it was far more dangerous to ignore the girl's movements. What she saw made her doubt her eyes. The girl was running away with her back turned to them. Though her running looked cute, she was unbelievably fast. She ran. She ran away. Zessie realized. This earth elemental wasn't summoned to handle her Einherjar. It was to stall for time so the girl could escape. She didn't realize based on the girl's attitude, but perhaps she was at her limits all this time. The girl never intended to fight or risk her life. Didn't her actions at the start make that pretty clear? That time when she retreated back with great force, when Zessie tried to jump behind her was not because she disliked being pincered, it was because she didn't want her escape route to be cut off. Her words and actions had put her intentions clearly on display. Damn. She needed to choose one of the three choices before her immediately. She could somehow catch up with the girl. She could defeat the earth elemental here for now. Or she could escape as well. Among them, she could easily put the third option into practice. The summoner couldn't give commands adapted to the changing battlefield to the summon if they couldn't see what was happening. So, for example, if the elemental was commanded to stay here and kill everyone that tries to pass through the corridor, it wouldn't chase after Zessie if she ran away. But if it was commanded to kill the woman before you, it would probably try to chase and kill her. That said, it would just give chase in a straight line and wouldn't use its brains to do things like trying to waylay her. So, there was no way it could catch Zessie, who was faster and more agile than it if she did decide to run. If she ran away at full speed, the elemental would wander around aimlessly, searching for her like a mindless drone. However, she refused to do it. Refusal was the only path open to her. She couldn't divert her gaze from the possible future crisis the Sorcerer King's schemes. Then, the choice was between the first and the second option. Catching up to the girl was difficult as well. Even if they destroyed the earth elemental obstructing them quickly, it depended on luck whether or not they could catch up to the extremely mobile girl. Plus, her reinforcements were probably waiting for the Mare destination. Zessie wasn't sure how the battle would end if that was the case. So the second option was the best one. It made her resolve from before a joke, and would be completely meaningless if it turned out that this was not the one used by the Elf King. Still, considering the risk and the return, this was the only choice she could take. She shouldn't be tempted by the greener grass on the other side. Zessie stared sharply at the earth elemental, and then realized that the girl behind it who had put some distance between them turned back to face them. Zessie continued to observe her without diverting her attention from the earth elemental, expecting the girl to say something. And then, the girl moved her lips. It's good that I can serve my mana. It shouldn't have been audible considering the distance, but maybe because of Zessie's elven blood or because of her extremely high capabilities, she could faintly hear the girl's words of relief. Before Zessie could understand the meaning behind them, the girl raised her staff high against the ceiling. One of Mare's classes was named the Disciple of Disaster, which had a trump card. It was the inferior version of the World Disaster's trump card. Its name was Petite Catastrophe. In return for consuming enormous mana, its damage surpassed even the super-tier spells that Ains could use. Of course, it was still not as powerful as Grand Catastrophe, but the raging torrents of energy born from it was enough to blow away everything in an instant. The very next moment, Zessie was hit by tremendous energy. Bad will die. Zessie immediately realized. The fierce currents of energy blew away the earth elemental in an instant. She finally realized at that moment that the earth elemental was neither countermeasure for Einherjar nor a wall to let the girl escape. It was nothing more than a decoy to keep Zessie and her clone from escaping that single, tyrannical attack. And in reality, her Einherjar had also disappeared just a moment after the elemental did. Following that, not yet. I will not die. I will not die. Though the storm of destruction raging around her was sweetly whispering to her to give up and take it easy, Zessie brought all her vitality to the forefront to bear through it. But her consciousness weakened. She could no longer sense the pain that had been stinging all over her body from before. She could no longer even sense if she was still standing or where she was. So this was how death felt like. What the heck is this? That was the only thing that she could think of. Wasn't she supposed to fight, risking her life, after this? Wasn't she supposed to fight with all of her body and soul to protect the theocracy, her country, from the fiendish enemy and their diabolic schemes? How mean. Of course, it was just Zessie excusing herself. She realized that even amidst her awareness fading away. Even so, she couldn't help but complain. She didn't feel any relief at the elemental getting destroyed. It probably meant that it was no more valuable than a sacrificial pawn. Or maybe they thought it was an acceptable loss for taking out the strongest trump card of the theocracy. In the end, who was that girl really? If she really was from the Sorcerer Kingdom, to what extent were they dancing on their palms? This was defeat. She finally realized that defeat didn't mean getting taken down by the enemy's attack. It was getting one's wish, which they put their body and soul into, smashed without a trace, and then falling into an endless pit of despair. Cruel. She didn't want to lose. Her wanting to taste defeat was an outright lie. She only wanted to deny her own strength. Or maybe deny her mother. Deny the blood that ran through her veins and the loveless days it made her go through. But if she could have protected what she held dear with this unwanted power. Even though she would have probably forgiven her mother a little then. Even though she seriously didn't want to lose for once. All those feelings still ended up getting crushed. I hope at least that she isn't from the Sorcerer King. And then, the world went dark.